Welcome to this Coding with the Hub series. In this series, we'll be recording videos to solve community requests that requires coding abilities. We are covering today a real question from Alfresco Hub related with custom permissions for tags creation. Requirement is that tags can only be created by a control group of Alfresco users, while default behavior is that every user can create tags in the platform. We have selected an approach that limits the ability to create new tags in repository layer, controlling the permissions for the tagging service bin. Since the final project is available in GitHub, we are developing everything from scratch to describe the development process associated with this feature. Let's start reviewing Alfresco repository code to understand what elements require customization. Permissions for the different services in the Alfresco repository are defined in this public service security context XML that is an Spring Beans file. We can find the tagging service in this file, and we can see that there is no tagging service defined. This is why by default all the operations in this bin are allowed for every user in the platform. So we need to create a new tagging service security bin in order to limit the access to some features of this service. If we look at the tagging service, we can see some different options like get tag, and we need to take care about all the services that are creating new tags, like this one. With that, we can create this kind of bin in order to limit the access to that specific methods. You can find more information about that in this Alfresco docs pages, permissions, extension point, and also we are going to use later this bootstrap content extension point in order to create a group for limit the permission. Since we identified that we are going to modify the repository layer, the repository service for Alfresco, we are going to create an Alfresco repository extension project by using Maven. So you can create a simple Maven project by using this command. With that, we are getting some options and different projects that we can use. And in this case, we need to use the Alfresco platform jar archetype. So it's a default for us. And then we are creating the project for ACS 7.1. So we can use the latest Maven version for the Alfresco SDK. We are going to include some sample values for these properties, and with that we are done. So we have the project created and we can start. This is the skeleton, but we can start modifying that or creating our project by using any ID you want to use. So in this case we are going to use IntelliJ, but you can use also Eclipse or some other ID you want to use. We are creating the project now. As you can see, default project includes some files that we are not going to use. So let's review the default structure for that. We are not going to test anything by now, so we can remove all this code from this folder. On the main, we can see different Java demo files that we are not going to use, so we can also remove them. And there is also a lot of resources that we are not going to use. Also HTML pages. We are not going to use web scripts. We are not including messages, not including custom models, and not including workflow. So with that, we have these files. The module context is including all the different Spring Bean XML files we are using. And in this case, we want to use the bootstraps and the service context. So we can remove this one, and also we can remove this one. So with that, we have the basic structure for our project, but we also need to remove these default beans in order to create our own structure. So let's remove that. And we are now ready to start coding our extension. Let's review now the elements we need to add to our project in order to provide this feature. As we said before, we are going to create a new service, and this service, this tagging service security, is going to provide access to all the tagging service method, but for this one, creation, deletion, and changing tag, that is only to be allowed to this group tag creators group that we will create also as a bootstrap Spring Bean. Remember that we inspect all the different methods available in the tagging service, and we are choosing this one in order to control the access to these methods. We are also going to create some bootstrap for the project, and this bootstrap is only required to create the initial group. So this is a generic bootstrap patch. You can also verify this page in order to understand how to do this kind of extension. But mainly, we are describing the name, describing the version schema, and so on, and providing a path where this bootstrap will be executed. And we are also providing some initial XML file in order to include what needs to be created. And we have this file in this folder. So as you can see, we are creating a new group with this group tag creators name, and we are adding this group to this authentication zone. So the group is available for everyone. Let's move to the project now, and let's create all these different files we need. So this is the service content, and this one is the service content. So as you can see, this is the one creating this tagging service security that was missed in the original Alfresco repository code with the permissions for the different methods. On the bootstrap, we are going also to take the code that we created for that. And in this case, we can do exactly the same thing. So we are bootstrapping some content in the Alfresco repository in order to create the group. So creating the group requires a new folder with the name bootstrap. And inside this folder, we need a create group XML file. And the content on this file again, we can go back to our project and we can copy that to our project. As we have seen before, we are creating that group tag creators in the Alfresco repository in this authentication zone. So with that, we are ready with the project. So we are controlling the access to the tag creation and tag modification methods, and we are creating a default group. So only the users associated to this group will be able to create or modify tags in Alfresco. Since the code of our project is ready, we are going to package this Alfresco add-on for the repository with this command, just creating the jar file to be deployed to the Alfresco repository. So we have that jar file that is containing the add-on. In order to test that, we are going to use the Alfresco Docker installer that provides a simple, a quick way to deploy Alfresco in our system. So let's choose default options. We don't need anything else. And with that, we have all the structure created for deploying our jar file. So this is the jar file, and we are going to copy that to deploy folder in the repository. With that, once we start the Docker Compose, our add-on will be included. So let's do that. And let's wait till Alfresco is up and ready. Now that Alfresco is ready, we can inspect the logs in order to verify that our tag creators add-on has been applied. So in these lines, we can see that the tag creator groups loader it's ready, and also Alfresco is ready to be used. So let's move to the Alfresco application in order to verify if we are getting the expected result. Let's try to create some tag for some file or folder, and we should be getting some error from that because we are limiting this feature to a group that by default is empty. So even for the administrator user, this option to create or modify any tag will be not available. So let's move to some sample site. Let's wait a little for that. On the project library, just let's find some folder, one, and we are going to try adding a tag. So yes, this sample tag, we try to add this, and we are getting an error. Obviously, as our add-on is only on the repository part, this failure message is not very user-friendly, but you can also modify SER, create an add-on for SER in order to provide more information to the user when this operation happens. So we cannot create any tag, and we can populate default group in order to allow at least to the administrator user to create tags. So this is the tag creator group. We are going to add the administration user, the administrator user to this group. And after that, we should be able to create tags for every element. So in this case, we are going again, right, adding this tag, and we are now successful. If some other user that is not in that tags creator group tries to add or modify or remove some tag, he will be receiving the same kind of error. And with that, it was everything for us. We were able to create a repository add-on that is preventing users to create or modify tags if they are not included in a specific group. I hope that was helpful, and you will see on the next time. So bye.